started the hike way too late in the day.
We had seen a storm forecasted, and the storm came in Sunday night.
The weather was dramatically changing, and we needed to get out of it.
We need shelter, and we need it now.
The frostbite was just eating me.
We used the American flag to make like the final barrier between us and the elements.
I prayed to God that he would stop the blizzard. God never answered my prayers.
My name is Kenny Fasten. I am a dog walker and a pet sitter and an 8-year Army veteran. Joining the Army, it very much did spark a sense of pride and honor and patriotism in me. I am a first-generation American. I'm a Mexican-American, and so it's what's called the Chicano. And it means you're born in the U.S. as an American to Mexican parents. And so it's kind of an odd place. You're kind of born between these two cultures. My parents would go back and forth between the U.S. and Mexico for work, and it was very important to my father for me to be born here in the States and to be an American. Once I was, wearing the uniform every day, I got to wear my American flag on my shoulder. That it really changed me. So I was sent to Iraq in 2008 to 2009, and we were sent all over the southern area, like Basra, the ancient city of Babylon.
I met Kenny in Iraq, and we moved around a lot in our second tour to Iraq, only because we were preparing to give over our areas to the Iraqi National Guard, the Iraqi Army, and the Iraqi police. Kenny's real, well, he would provide the security, and it's a pretty intense job, but it's well worth it.
After my deployment, we came home in September of 2009. My daughter was born. I was getting towards the end of my active duty contract, and I was asked if I wanted to re-enlist and deploy. It was a hard decision for me because I didn't want to leave my men. But I felt like I had to stay home with my daughter. Being woken up, all the time to gunfire or to explosions definitely works on your nerves. Here I am back at home in sunny Los Angeles, by the beach, going to school. And these guys were suffering and fighting and dying in Afghanistan. That survivor's guilt, that kind of hit hard. I didn't really want to get help. I didn't want to go to the VA and ask for help. So I kind of wanted to do it on my own, and I wanted to get a dog to help me with these stressful situations.
What branch were you in?
The Army.
Have you ever worked with a service dog before?
I've seen them.
So I found this breeder.
Why don't you have a seat?
Sure. She had me sit on the floor, and she said, "You don't pick the dogs pick you." And she released the dogs. And I remember Rex was kind of the runt of the litter, and he came to me.
Good dog, aren't you? Sit. Good boy.
Looks like you made a friend.
Yeah. He's really smart.
And he looked me in my eyes, and you know, in that moment, I knew that this is my dog. I got into hiking because the breeder that gave me him, she said, if you're not very active now, you better get active, because this dog requires a lot of attention and a lot of activity. It just kind of became a passion, and it was almost like it was my way of taking care of him, because he takes care of me.
Let's go, boy. Come on, Rex. Sit. Good boy. Come on, come on. Let's go, let's go.
Let's go, Rex, let's go. I was really into hiking all over LA. I think it would have been sometime in like late November. I met Tiffany on social media.
My name is Tiffany Finney, and I was born and raised in Savannah, Georgia. I'm the youngest of 4, and I'm the only girl, so my mom is super overprotective, but she loves me dearly.
Tiffany's my youngest daughter. She's 22, and she has always been adventurous and always getting into mischief. We didn't have a whole lot of money, and I always told my kids that we were always rich. We're rich in love. I was like, our house is just full of love, and that's all we need. And she just always wanted to spread the love. In 2015, Tiffany wanted to travel. She just picked random states and things that she wanted to do and see in cities, and she would spend about 2 or 3 days in each city.
I just packed up my car and I left. I was planning on going to 42 states within a year on a very low budget. That was the best thing I could have ever done, because I really found myself and who I was, my passions, what I like.
Looks like I'm too late to offer a hand.
I've almost got it, but thank you.
Where you heading?
Huh? I'm just following my front bumper. Bye.
On my road trip, as soon as I crossed the Kansas-Colorado line and I saw those mountains, I was blown away. So I pulled over and I just started hiking this random trail with really nothing. I just brought like a water bottle. And I got up to a sign like a couple hours later that said I was about 12,000 feet up. And it just hit me. And after that, I really just stuck to it. And I wanted to see anything and everything I possibly could, nature-wise. California was my 14th state. I met Kenny, and we wanted to hike. Kenny is a very spontaneous person. He doesn't like to plan much. He was an awesome guy. He's very funny, and his dog was absolutely adorable.
So on December 12th, 2015, Tiffany and I were hanging out, and we were thinking of our next trail, and we were watching the movie Everest. We kind of got inspired. We were like, what's the tallest mountain that we could reach, you know, within reason?
Let's hike something big tomorrow. Hmm? Let's hike something big, like a real mountain.
Guess I'm off tomorrow.
We were watching the movie Everest, and that movie was all about just a group of people trying to reach the top of this mountain.
San Gorgonio. Looks like the tallest mountain in SoCal.
San what?
Gorgonio.
It's maybe a 2-hour drive from here.
Look at the pictures.
Oh my goodness, that's gorgeous.
Oh, that is a view. We can drive over there and be back for dinner.
Let's do it.
It's done.
Yay.
What's ironic about this story is that, you know, everyone in the movie Everest did not do so well. You know, most of them got stranded in a blizzard and then they died up there.
I just never would have imagined that the next morning when we took our hike, I was going to experience that Everest feel. We planned on hiking the highest peak in Southern California, San Gorgonio. It's a little over 11,000 feet, and it's absolutely beautiful. We knew it was going to be a snow hike, and this would only be my second snow hike ever.
The morning of the hike, I was not ready to go because I'm not a morning person. So we were still trying to pack my bags.
Ready?
Give me a second.
You're always ready to go. Out.
I remember I packed like 4 or 5 Cliff Bars.
Steve, we're trying to go for a walk here. Come here. Are we pushing it too much? It's getting kind of late.
You want to hold off? Do something else instead?
It's such a beautiful day.
I think we can still make it.
Let's give it a shot.
One more.
I was never really sure what to bring. I just knew a sleeping bag would be great if I had to stay overnight. Matches, just in case if I had to make a fire, and a flashlight, of course, so I could see my way. I am scared to death of the dark.
We put some water in the camelbacks. I had one and she had one, and I strapped the American flag to the back of my camelback.
Anything else?
I think we're good. Onward.
Onward.
And then, you know, we were off.
Follow Rexy.
He was taking an American flag with us to fly at the peak. Kenny always brought this flag with him. It was very important to him when he was in the Army.
He was determined to fly it on the highest mountain in California. To an American soldier, the flag means so much to us. It's not about the stripes or the stars. It's about the act of us soldiers fighting for our freedom, for our children's freedom, for people who are out there who can't fight for themselves. We fight for them.
One of my earliest positions was being an honor guard soldier, the funeral detail. We would fold the flags that were draped on the coffins that we would give to the mother or the wife or whoever would survive that soldier. My team leader gave me one of those coffin-sized flags. After that, I've always had that flag with me, and when I deployed to Iraq, I hung that flag on the wall. Everywhere I've gone, all my trips, I carry it on my backpack. Having that flag is probably one of the best decisions I could have made.
My mom actually called me on her way to church that morning, and she called me just to check on me, see how I was doing.
Yeah, it's really nice out. We're gonna try to make it to the top. I'll send you a picture.
I told her, I was like, Tiffany, I was like, well, you just be safe and just call me when you get down off the mountain.
Hey, I really do need to get going, though. Love you. I'll call you after if I don't die. Bye.
I was just like, I really have to go. I don't want Kenny to wait on me. I'll call you after the hike if I don't die, which is such a horrible thing to say to your mom, but I joke around with her like that all the time. And I told her, I was like, well, Mom, I'm about to go on this hike. I was about to put my phone on airplane mode so it wouldn't die as fast.
It was very beautiful. It was nice and sunny out. I was wearing a couple t-shirts, and I had my Dodgers jacket and my blue jeans on, and it had snowed the night before. And I was just down to my tan Army undershirt. I remember taking off my jacket and taking off my t-shirts.
Well, we picked the right day for this.
I thought it'd be colder. This is perfect.
It is perfect. Good boy.
How long is this trail?
I don't know, like 10 miles, I think.
I'm up for it.
Oh, yeah?
Hi.
Hello there.
Try to keep up.
Come on, boy. Let's get her. Come on.
Come on.
Even though we were both disappointed that we started the hike pretty late, we both really felt good about it.
I was very confident that we were going to make the peak because it wasn't that many miles away. Rex is the best dog to hike with. As soon as he saw snow, he jumped in it. The leash was pretty long, so he would just kind of like play around with the snow and play with sticks, anything he could find while we were hiking behind him until we caught up to him.
Hi.
Hey, nice day for it.
Yeah, it is.
How far you heading?
Trying to get to the top.
Maybe a mile into the trail, we ran into the forest ranger, and he was talking to us about what we were wearing because we were wearing a lot of cotton, and he was highly suggesting that in a freezing point, cotton is really bad.
There's a great lookout about an hour up the trail. Makes for a great destination for a day hike.
Okay, well, we'll check it out.
Okay. You two stay safe out there.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Come on, boy.
What do you think? Play it by ear?
We were very spontaneous with this hike, and we did not check the weather at all. We had no idea that a blizzard was supposed to hit the mountain that night.
We didn't anticipate the hike to be as long as it was as far as travel time. Most people start at like 5 a.m. and we didn't actually start the trail till 11:20 was when we started the hike. In hindsight, we just started the hike way too late in the day.
We were stubborn. We figured we could still make it. We kept running into hikers that were coming down from the peak, and pretty much every single one of them, they would stop and they were like, well, you're not going to make it too much further without snow clamps, or you really need some trekking poles for this one part.
Hi.
Oh, hey, good boy. What's his name?
Rexatron.
What was that?
Rexatron.
Great name.
The story behind his name, instead of just being Rex, it's Rexitron, and it's an old cartoon. Voltron, that's supposed to be the defender of the universe. And so I just knew, you know, his name was going to be Rexitron because he was going to be the defender of my universe.
Is it really that cold up higher? It's pretty cold. Yeah, you guys have a lot of stuff. Yeah, it gets tough, but it helps.
Wait, you guys have been to the summit already? Today?
Yeah. Had to head out at, what, 6 a.m.?
And we were running late.
You can make the tree line if you hurry.
You'll be pretty exposed. Any higher than that.
But if you stay below 8,000 feet, you'll be fine.
Sure. Thank you.
Love your dog.
Thank you. Whoa.
But we're making good time, right? I mean, we're pretty far along from where we started, aren't we?
I think so. I mean, we're doing great. But we can, when we get to the tree line, we can call it then. If it gets too rough, we can turn back.
Yeah, okay. I'm good with that.
The hike was absolutely gorgeous. The further we went up, the snow-covered logs from the trees that fell and just the snow everywhere on the ground. On the way up, we had a little photo session, of course, with Kenny and Rexy. There was a lot of little small talk here and there, whether if we needed water or another Cliff Bar, but our majority focus was on the beauty and the nature.
We were 3/4 of the way up, and I said, you know, I think we need to take a break.
This is what I came here for.
Wow. We're on top of the world, and the sun started to go down, and it was just the prettiest sight to see the horizon, and it was just like this golden view all the way around.
Here, get a picture.
Oh, thanks.
Hey.
We just kind of soaked it in, you know, soaked it up, and just, it was very beautiful.
There's no signal up here.
This is amazing. Wouldn't you love to stay up here forever?
Well, I'd like to get to the summit if we can. We've been doing great so far.
Let's give it a shot.
Onward. Come on, boy.
But that moment, it was a very short-lived victory. As soon as the sun actually went down, it got really dark and really cold, really fast. It almost felt like a shadow just came right over us, and it was just instantly cold.
At that moment, Kenny was just like, well, we're really close to the peak now. Let's just go see it and then turn back around. Like, we can do this.
What do you think?
Onward?
Onward. Come on, boy.
Let's do it.
The weather completely changed immediately. It dropped a good 20 degrees fast within an hour.
We were both really cold right away, and the adrenaline kind of wore off, and we were no longer hot from hiking. It got really bad quickly. It had taken us about a good 6 or so hours to get to the point where we were at. That's kind of when it hit us that it's dark and it's a long way down, and it's gonna be at least another minimum 5 hours to get down.
The snow started coming in, and it wasn't like a pressured wind just yet, but the weather was dramatically changing and we needed to get out of it.
The worst part for us was when it started to snow, everything became white. It just looked like we were in a white insane asylum.
Slow down! Kenny!
It's not gonna let up.
We can't go any further. How do I get down?
We can't. We need shelter.
We had no idea where to go, and continuing and getting to the summit was not an option, and trying to go back down was also not an option. It just kind of hit me, and I was like, we need shelter, and we need it now. In a very quick, like a flashback of my Army training, instantly I thought, oh, we need to make a foxhole. I remember just kind of looking around, and the only thing that I could really see was this very short tree. It was like a shrub, and I said, that's where we need to go. I laid down, and I had her mark where my feet were and where my head was, and I said, that's our mark. That's how long this foxhole has to be.
This is gonna work. We took the sharpest rocks we could find, and we just dug as hard and as fast as we could, just pushing dirt all over us. We just wanted this hole to be done so we could finally get out of the wind. It took us about 30 minutes to about an hour to actually dig this hole. Just never seemed to be big enough for all three of us.
At one point, I said, well, this is as good as it's gonna get. Let's get some of these bigger rocks and kind of build a border all the way around to kind of make like a windbreak. When we were finishing, each of us looked at our phones, and my phone had a good 20% left on it, but there just wasn't any signal up there. And so calling for help just wasn't an option at that point.
Okay, what else? What else?
Sleeping bag. Sleeping bag down.
Before we got in, Kenny made the decision that we need to put the sleeping bag unzipped, it just open, on the ground to cover us from that temperature. Okay, babe. Get in. Are you okay? You okay? Okay, put your feet in the bag. With a mummy sleeping bag, you can't completely unzip it all the way and lay it out. The bottom feet part will always be zipped. So I gave him the bottom to put his feet in because he was a lot colder than I was. He was shaking really bad, and I just really wanted him to be warm.
Roxy! Come on, boy! Get over here!
Then we would put the American flag on top of us to block us from the snowfall. And then we positioned the dog in between us for a little bit more body warmth. The dog was the only thing that was really producing the heat.
I always thought that I'd like to be buried with my flag, but this was a literal being buried alive with my flag.
If it went more than a day not talking to Tiffany, I would get really worried, and I would call her. So we always kept in touch, so I would know that she was safe and fine.
While I was in the parking lot that morning, I was trying to strap up and just put all of my layers on. And I told her, I was like, well, Mom, I'm about to go on this hike. And I was just like, I really have to go. I don't want Kenny to wait on me. I'll call you after the hike. I didn't see my life in that big of a danger because the weather wasn't as bad as I didn't know it was going to get that bad.
We used the American flag to make the final barrier between us and the elements. I never thought that I would ever use the flag in this way. I just remember thinking, this sucks. I was cold, and we were, buried under the snow.
We held on tightly to the edges of the flags just because the wind was blowing so hard it was trying to take the flag away from us. Our faces were covered, it was over our heads. Everything but my knees and down and his back were covered. You start losing the function in your fingers and your toes. It's really just hard to move your limbs. The dog was doing great in between us. He was snoring while we were dying.
This is bad.
Tiffany. We're gonna make it.
We kept saying we're gonna make it, but after a while, as it kept getting cold and we kept shivering, she was asking me, are we gonna be okay? And I said, look at me. I said, we're gonna make it.
Say it with me. We're gonna make it.
We are gonna make it.
We gotta make it.
And, you know, after a while, she was like, okay, we're gonna make it. I remember having this odd, strange feeling that something is watching us, or that something is there, like kind of hanging out in the bushes. Then we start hearing digging. Something is like digging, digging, digging. And then you can hear it crunching through the snow. This mountain lion or large animal was hunting us. You know, Rex can only do so much, and we don't have any weapons to fight this animal off. And I just remember squeezing Rex and squeezing her, just making sure that everybody stayed quiet, because if we made any sound, this animal would find us. And then it would be all over for us then.
The storm picked up outside, and the temperature started dropping even more. The flag isn't that thick, and the snow was coming through the flag and still hitting us in the face. I gave up a lot of my hope on making it down. It was hard to even just bend my feet. My hips were aching. The frostbite was just eating me. And I just knew I had no strength left.
I just remember looking at Tiffany a couple of times, and I could see the fear in her eyes. That was really hard for me because, you know, being a soldier, I took that as it is my job to make sure she gets home. It's my job to make sure that she is safe and that, you know, we get through this together, the three of us.
I prayed to God a lot while I was in that hole. I prayed that he would stop the blizzard. Just give us another chance. I know I messed up a lot, but I didn't think that I was gonna die like this, you know?
Please protect my family. Amen.
God never answered my prayers. After praying so many times and nothing happening, I put my focus on Kenny.
Kenny.
I was so scared of losing him.
Kenny.
I had no idea of of my chances of survival without him.
Kenny, wake up. Wake up, Kenny. Kenny.
And I had thoughts of whether or not he was going to live or if he was going to die before I died. Losing Kenny would have really affected me in every way. Not only would I have lost an awesome friend and hiking partner, and then have to somehow manage to come out of that if I did survive. But I really, really didn't want to die alone.
How do we do it?
You aren't dying.
I started losing my hope, and I was more focused on, like, how many hours do I really have left?
You know, people asked me if I was scared, and I was never really scared of dying. I was scared of making the wrong decision to get other people killed. I was scared that, you know, Tiffany might, you know, not make it down this mountain, that maybe Rex wouldn't make it home that day, and that really was the driving force for how everything happened.
That was maybe the 4th or 5th hike that she has done. I just couldn't feel more blessed that he was with her.
Kenny. Kenny, what's wrong?
I got to a point where I was so cold, I was whipping my back and my neck back and forth uncontrollably that I actually started to hurt myself. And once that started to happen, I looked at her and I said, we have to go.
What? I can't understand what you're saying.
We gotta go. We gotta go.
We don't leave now, we're gonna die.
I trusted Kenny's judgments on things, and he was really persistent on leaving the hole. He just knew that we had to keep moving to stay alive, and there was a chance that we could get past the line of the blizzard and be in a better location if we just strived for it. I did not want to leave the hole.
We'll die out there.
Dying here.
Within the hours that we were in the hole, I wouldn't even leave to use the bathroom. I peed on myself twice, just so I wouldn't have to leave the hole.
We spent the next couple of minutes kind of trying to build up our courage.
Here we go.
As soon as we jumped out, the wind just hit us in the face like razor blades.
The blizzard hitting you, it was as if you were going 60 miles an hour in a car while it was raining and sticking your face out the window. I just couldn't do that to myself. The pain was unbearable.
We actually jumped back in. We jumped back in the foxhole and we're like, oh man, okay, let's give it a second.
We tried to get comfortable again, and he was like, okay, this is it. We have to do it. No matter what, we're gonna forget all of our stuff. Don't try to grab anything. Don't try to bring anything. It'll just waste time. Took us a while to prepare mentally.
I can't even see out there.
Left. Left, we gotta go. Tiff. Tiff.
I'm ready.
Leave everything behind.
We turned on the dog's flashlight that was on his leash around his neck. And I didn't have a headlamp, so I was just following two little dim lights.
Tiffany, leave the bag!
No! The wind was so powerful, I probably didn't even make it 5 feet with that sleeping bag. And Kenny turned around and was like, let it go.
Leave the bag!
No!
It's gonna slow us down. Let it go.
I tried to bring my sleeping bag, even though he told me not to. I considered it my last chance of survival. I needed something to block the wind and the snow, and I needed some sense of comfort, some sense of warmth that it wasn't going to give me. But it was just what I believed. It took everything in my will to let it go, because that sleeping bag was my hope.
Leave it!
If I let it go, I was gonna die.
Let go!
And I let it go, and I watched it fly away. And I just knew I wasn't gonna make it.
Once a soldier, always a soldier. Being in the Army, it really helps you to, learn basic survival skills. There's going to be times in our personal lives where we want to give up. You have to, you can't laugh, you can't cry. You have to overcome and adapt and be able to live past that stress.
I had no idea what we were doing. I was just following. It felt like hours and hours of just pitch black and snow. Rex was leading the way, and Kenny would stop and turn around and look for me, make sure I was still coming. My mind was playing games on me. I wasn't strong enough or fast enough to keep up with them, and I was holding them back. But I didn't want to be left alone.
Don't leave me.
Just a wrong turn. We'll get there.
I can't see.
The snow had frozen her hair onto her face, and she kept yelling that she can't see. I can't see, I can't see. I ended up just having to break the hair away from her face.
Hang in there.
I need to rest.
You can't stop moving. Hey. Hey.
You go on, I'll catch you.
Hey, no, we can't. We can't, we got you moving. Come on. Come on, get up. On your feet. We're gonna make it. Come on. Come on.
In the shivering in the foxhole, I lost my cell phone. It fell out of my pocket or was left behind in the foxhole. So at this point, we only have Tiffany's cell phone, but there just wasn't any signal up there.
I kept telling Kenny every time that I would get close enough to him, I need a doctor. I don't know what for. I just need a doctor. I knew something was wrong, but I couldn't pinpoint it.
We're making progress. Look.
I got so excited. I was just like, Kenny, let's go there. There's a city, there's people. there's doctors. And he was just like, Tiffany, look where that city is. There's another mountain between us. There's no way we can make it to that city.
It'll get easier from here, though.
How can you tell?
The sun's coming up.
The sun.
Eventually, dawn came, and that little bit of light in the sky made the biggest difference. The blizzard was leaving, and the sun came up.
We screamed and we said, yeah, the sun is coming up, which in our minds, it's gonna warm up. It never warmed up. It didn't make a difference at all. And I remember us just feeling like, man, what a drop in your stomach. It just crushed our hope.
My mind was so gone. I no longer had care for life.
Try to go back to the top. Try to get a signal. Call for help. You have your phone?
I took off my right hand glove and to turn on my screen. And my middle finger, the top of it was purple. And I've never seen frostbite before. I was in shock.
It's almost dead.
The red exclamation mark on your little battery sign is not a good thing to see when you're stuck on a mountain.
There's no signal.
Now's the signal up there. Closer than down.
You can't do that.
I have to.
Tiffany was like, I can't keep going. I can't make it. And I said, okay, you guys stay here, stay warm, and I'll race to the top.
Hold each other close. Keep each other warm. Don't fall asleep.
I remember just telling her, we're gonna make it. And then I just digging deep, and with every last bit of strength that I had, I ran to the top of this mountain. And I made several attempts to call 911.
Hello? Hello?
The first time it disconnected.
Hello?
Emergency.
Hello? Hello?
The third time, I connected.
Bastante! San Gorgonio! 2 people And Doc?
I said, we need help. We're at San Gorgonio. If you guys don't come fast, she's not gonna make it.
My name is Eric Sherwin. I'm a firefighter paramedic with San Bernardino County Fire. We have 2 sheriff's deputies and 2 firefighter paramedics. The aviation unit responds to 300 rescues a year. Monday, December 14th was my first day back from some days off.
Hi, Mike.
As we had just come out of the locker room, we got reports that this call had come in.
I got a call from emergency. 2 hikers stranded high on Sanji.
How'd they get up there this early?
That's the thing. They went up there all night.
Not gonna last long up there.
Got to be ready to go as soon as it clears out.
We had seen a storm forecasted. We'd been tracking that for a few days, and the storm came in Sunday night.
The good news is we're really close, 8 to 10 minutes flight time from where we departed to where the victims were. Bad news is we were unable to even depart for about 2 hours based on the weather. Sanji was covered in clouds. If that aircraft is enveloped in clouds, you can't fly out of there. There's just no way. And so what's going to happen to these people? I'm thinking they're going to die if we don't get that aircraft on the ground.
It's not that I said, okay, well, this is it, I'm dying. It was way more peaceful. And all I could think of was, I'm tired. I'm just gonna take a nap. I'm just gonna lay down. Everything's fine now. I'm still good. Kenny's got this. Him and Rex are gonna be fine. I'm gonna be fine. Everything's awesome. Thinking tomorrow is just gonna be another great day.
In this scenario, we had what turned out to be 2 hours before the weather broke to really pre-plan our mission.
I knew the clock was ticking. I knew we didn't have a lot of time to find where these people were and get them to safety.
Hey, how soon can you be ready? We might get a break in the weather here. Now, let's go now.
Not a lot of good landing spots.
Hey, Fooch, do we know where they are exactly? All I know is up high. I'm trying to get some more information from dispatch.
Kenny initially called 911, and there was some voice contact with the call-in taker, but those calls got dropped very rapidly. Later on, text would go through, and that's really what helped us zero in on where they were.
Usually we like to do our passes at a much lower speed, lower altitude, lower speed, and we have 3 sets of eyes out just scanning. We're looking for tracks, looking for people, looking for movement. On Monday, with those winds blowing as strong as they were, we couldn't employ our typical search patterns.
He's missed us! I just saw you! You're overhead!
Got anything? Can't see anyone. Yes, sir. Can you text me your GPS coordinates?
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't think of it sooner, but I opened up the map, I screenshotted our position, and I sent them that. And once again, they flew past us.
We were making passes through the area in what we thought was their location, but we couldn't see anything. You're taking a quick glance, you're looking for movement. You're looking for those flashes of color.
Mike, I've got a GPS location for you. Got tracks, 2 o'clock.
I was like, I only got one shot at this. The phone's got 1%, but I said, Tiffany has to make it. Rex has to make it. When that helicopter finally came around, I took off my jacket. As they flew past us, I jumped up and down, and I waved that jacket and that shirt as hard as I could, and I screamed as hard as I could.
There he is, I see him.
Kenny took my phone to try to get signal. I passed out. I woke up twice while I was under that tree. He wasn't there. And I wanted him to be close to me. I didn't want to be alone. I did have doubts that he left me.
We were looking for a male that was in Dodger Blue.
Hey! There he is, I see him.
And finally, on one pass, Fooch saw Kenny out in an open area just below the ridgeline, nice fresh snowfall, and he was waving his arms. And at that point, we knew we had found one.
Trying to get people from when you find them to getting them off the mountain onto the aircraft, it can be very difficult. Most times there's not a place you can just land. So the pilots, that's why they are rescue pilots.
With the winds doing what they were, we knew that a hoist was absolutely out of the question. There was no safe way to do a hoist insertion or extraction. So that forced us to find a spot to land. The winds coming over the ridge were at least 40 miles an hour.
I can't sit down there. No way.
8 o'clock, about 100 yards. Not ideal, but it might do.
It was still really, really harsh up there. And I remember the rescuers were trying to land, and this wind was throwing them around like they were a toy.
We go into our first approach. I can remember that aircraft shuddering. It's not going to happen on this one. We try to work our way into that spot a second time. And it's not happening. On the third one, he hit it just right.
He found that perfect angle and, you know, took the right number of approaches to get us in there, and ultimately we were able to land on the ridge at 11,100 feet.
They landed, and the guys jumped out.
Once we hit the ground, the wind, the snow was amazing.
Where's the girl? Which way? Where's the girl?
She's down that way.
Where? Where exactly?
That way. Down there.
And I remember pointing down the mountain, and I said, she's down there. Go get her.
I'll head down this way. See what you can make out from the ridge.
I couldn't see the dog. I didn't know where the dog was. I just felt so alone under this tree, completely frozen. Can't feel a thing. And I just think I'm alone. And nobody is coming.
Search and rescue!
At that point, we had no sign of Tiffany,
Hello?
which was our first sign of trouble.
Anybody out here? Search and rescue!
We're just yelling and looking for a person.
Hello?
We're looking for a female victim in that area and just calling out, just yelling.
You guys are gonna have to get back here in Fiverr. I've got to leave you on the mountain. Copy that.
The fact that they had split up and that she wasn't responding, I was concerned that we were going to be recovering somebody and not rescuing somebody.
Hello? Search and rescue!
About this time, our pilot, Mike Gilly, gets us on the radio and says, hey guys, the weather's starting to close in on us. We got two choices. You come back to the ship, or are you guys gonna stay put? We know if we go back to the aircraft, it's gonna be a death sentence for her. Because what are the chances of us being able to come back in? And knowing the equipment that we had, we knew it might not be pleasant, but we weren't going to die. And looking at the threat that Tiffany was faced with, it became a very easy decision. We're staying.
When me and Tiffany start talking about the mountain experience, she always tells me, you know, that she knows that she was close to death. coming that close to death is just heartbreaking. For Tiffany, I think for her surviving up on that mountain was all the Lord. There's no other explanation, but I think the Lord was with her.
Tiffany!
I finally woke up to someone yelling my name.
Tiffany! Get up!
And I just crawled towards that voice.
She says that she heard somebody holler her name. Yesterday, she found out that nobody called her name. And I told her, I was like, that was the good Lord telling you to go, to get up. It's time to go. And that's what she did.
Kenny had been put in the helicopter, and he was pointing to the rescuers where I was and what general direction. And these two rescuers came down the hill, well, the mountain, and they were searching for me. They were following his footprints everywhere, trying to find me. But they never called my name. I don't know if they would have found me tucked under the tree. I really think God just woke me up. And me crawling directly towards them, it just blows my mind that God was there. He was helping me.
Search and rescue! Anybody here? Not finding any traces.
I had some tracks. The wind's blowing most of them away. Well, check the area as long as I can.
Copy that. Search and rescue! Hello!
I'm working my way down the hill, and I see this girl crawling on her hands and knees in the snow. She has no idea I'm even there.
I couldn't see the guy. My vision was so blurry. I just crawled. And I didn't make it to him. I passed out.
She has a dog with her.
Oh, easy, easy, easy. Good boy. I got you. Thank you.
I can see that she is just, she's hurting bad.
Fooch comes up on the radio and says, hey, I found her. I said, hey, buddy, you okay? And he came back, he said, no, she's done. I need you down here.
He came in, got under her right arm, and we started working together. It was just slow going. It was not a rapid rescue, to say the least. When we got to the aircraft, and we only had maybe, a handful of feet to get to that door, we both had dropped to a knee, and Eric used that time to untether Rex and take him over to the aircraft. And that dog acted like he was part of the crew. He saw Kenny sitting in the seat in the back. Jumped in by himself. It was amazing.
Few more steps. All right, we're gonna get you out of here, I promise.
Almost there.
Hang in there. All right, hang on. Almost there. There we go. Come in.
We load her into the aircraft.
You gonna make it?
At that point, there were so many things that seemed to cooperate. It was literally like closing the door of the helicopter caused the skies to open up.
How about that?
The clouds parted and, literally we just dropped off the mountain on our way to Loma Linda Medical Center.
It was like, okay, we did it. And I strapped myself in, and I was just kind of, it took me back to Iraq, to my deployment, being in a Black Hawk, flying over the city.
Vitals? Heart rate is dropping. We're gonna get you there, but you gotta stay with us.
I remember Eric saying that things were getting worse and not getting better. I know Mike was flying us to the hospital as fast as he could, and I was just praying that God was going to let her survive.
I just remember the feeling of I did it. I did what I had to do. I got my team back.
I think Kenny and Tiffany's ability to get through it, or the fact that they were able to deal with what Mother Nature, if you will, threw at them on that mountain, just goes to show that they have a lot of heart, and it's just still surprising to me that they survived.
When I woke up in the ER, it was so abrupt. I was under this huge heat pad covering everything but my face. And I couldn't feel anything, and I couldn't move anything. I was so frozen, but yet I was so happy.
They wheeled us in next to each other, and I remember looking over at her, and the boots were so frozen and swollen onto her feet that they couldn't take her boots off. They ended up having to get boiling water to dump over her boots to try to thaw out the ice and try to get her feet out of these boots.
My doctors told me that 30 minutes later, and I would have most likely died.
I had severe frostbite to my ears and my face and my fingers and my feet. Overnight, I lost 16 pounds.
When I first saw him, I don't like to say that I was worried about him because I know how strong of a person he is. He was very bummed out that he didn't have his dog. And, Rex and Paston, they're always together. No matter what it is, they're together. And so I said, hey, man, what's up with Rex? Where's Rex? What's going on with him? And he said, he don't know what's going on. And that's when I went and searched and was able to find out that he was at the San Bernardino Animal Control Center. I got there as soon as possible in the morning, and I took my daughter with me, and we were able to get Rex back.
Rex, there he is. He came to the hospital, and I got to see him again. And I just remember him jumping up and crying and just whining and giving me a big hug.
While in the ER room, one of the doctors or nurses came up to me and was like, do you have anybody that you can call? I gave her the number and she called my mom.
I can't even talk about the story without crying. Yeah, when I got that call, I thought I was gonna lose her. She had blisters all over her. I mean, it was on her sides, her hands, her feet. She had frostbite on her face. She had black spots all over her face. It was just all the way down her body. She couldn't walk. She couldn't do anything. It was just heartbreaking to see your baby that way. When she came home for her recovery, the blisters healed up and started going away. Her fingernails and her toenails started falling off, and there was just one little pinky that just would not heal. And between me and her, we have really good high spirits. So we kind of joked about it. She actually had a little pinky party. It was a going away goodbye pinky party.
So I drew up a cute little piece of paper with balloons behind it, and I cut out a little slot for my pinky, and I made a little like party hat to put on the black part, and I drew a little smiley face on it. And I just said farewell to my pinky. During my recovery time, I applied for Youth with a Mission. And of course, I applied for a base that was all the way across the world in New Zealand. I wanted to find out my purpose and put some passions into play and start living for God rather than myself. And during outreach, just in 2 months, I will be flying to Peru and hiking over 18,000 feet. I get a chance to hike a mountain almost twice as tall for God. And it's the best feeling in the world that in less than a year, I can do so much more.
After being home and trying to recover, I got a call from the ranger station that another set of hikers had gone on the trail after we did. They took it upon themselves to go back up there and recover our flag and our gear.
My name is Efren Portales. I've hiked San Gorgonio at least 30 plus times since I was in the Boy Scouts. Probably the first time I did climb it. After I found out about their survival and Tiffany's very close call, I was really curious to see where they actually set up their foxhole, because the description in the news report was very vague. And after knowing the trail really well, after many years of hiking, I wanted to check it out. My father was going with me that day. While hiking up the last probably 2 miles of the San Gorgonio Trail, I spotted with my eye something red and then something blue. Then I realized, wow, this is actually the flag they use to cover themselves. I had read that it was Kenny's mission to get the American flag up to the top of the mountain. So when we saw the flag, we discussed that we should, in honor of them surviving, take the flag the rest of the way up to the summit. We want to take pictures and videos of the flag because we wanted to show them that their flag made it to the top, what their original mission was, that it was complete.
The look on their faces with this flag after conquering this 18-mile hike, it definitely, they had a sense of pride and honor and patriotism. And so, after recovering and continuing to hike with Rex,
upward and onward.
I started the Rex Flag Challenge. It's an Instagram campaign to try to get people to be more active and to enjoy nature and to be more social and to be patriotic. And so the plan is that you go to the 4 different flags that I've posted around the city of Los Angeles: the Wisdom Tree, the Hollywood sign, Griffith Park Observatory, and Runyon Canyon.
On the way down from the summit, we ran into the ranger, and that's when we handed off the flag to him.
The day that I got my flag back, I felt complete again. You know, I left my flag on the mountain, and I felt a bit of, like, dishonor. I left it behind, and finally getting it back, I felt complete again. You know, I had my flag. You know, I can continue on my journeys and take it on my trips and always have it with me.